In the 1980s, Christmas still came to television once a year, and everyone tuned in. If you missed it, then it could be a whole year before you had the opportunity to catch it again, and sometimes that never happened. The Christmas season never seemed to kick off before the networks rolled out their Christmas specials, which pretty well dominated the December airwaves. Some of these specials were really good, and some of them were really bad. So don your parachute pants and crack open a new Coke. In this video, we will have a look back at some of the 1980s forgotten Christmas specials. Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special aired in 1988, and it had quite the guest list on it. Pee-wee taught Little Richard how to ice skate, went on a sleigh ride with Magic Johnson, and made Christmas cards with Frankie Avalon. A few of the other guests were Oprah, Whoopi, Zsa Zsa, and Cher. Pee-wee gave Santa his wish list, which was a mile and a half long. George Burns finally got around to hosting his first Christmas special on November 16, 1981. Yes, that date is correct, and it was appropriately named George Burns' Early Christmas Special. He wasn't afraid to get things started a little bit early, and this one had Bob Hope as Santa Claus. A Garfield Christmas special aired on television in 1987. This beloved cat sang his Christmas carol praising presents and precious gems. Garfield also visits the Arbuckle Farm, which teaches him the true meaning of the holiday. This little trip was inspired by the creator Jim Davis on his own Christmas past in Indiana. Garfield's special became a favorite of many people, and it stayed on CBS alongside A Charlie Brown Christmas until the turn of the millennium. Pac-Man became one of the hottest items of the 1980s, so of course he had to have his own special. It aired in 1983, and it was called Christmas Comes to Pac-Land. It might not be the Christmas classic they were hoping for, but at least it was animated by the pros at Hanna-Barbera. Over time, it seems like the comic Ziggy has been forgotten about, but at one time he was pretty popular. He had his own Christmas special entitled Ziggy's Gift, which aired in 1982 and even won an Emmy. Ziggy was known for his misfortunes, but in this charming special he helped those who were less fortunate. He and as Pooch Fuzz play Santa on the street to raise money for the poor. It is certainly a Christmas classic that is worth watching. Do you remember the glowworm dolls? They were a hot item, and in 1985 they got their own holiday special called Glow Friends Save Christmas. In this little tale, a witch named Blanche locks Santa in a cage of ice, and of course it's up to the Glow Friends to rescue him. There have been a lot of different versions of A Christmas Carol and Scrooge, but perhaps none are as great as George C. Scott's version. If he could play General Patton and nail it, then why not? This classic came out in 1984, and it stays remarkably true to the Charles Dickens story. Another forgotten comic strip that we used to see in the newspaper was BC. He was our favorite caveman. In 1981, the holiday special BC, A Special Christmas aired. This was before Ziggy and Garfield had their own. The character was huge at the time, and even Arby's sold collectible BC glasses that year. A Snow White Christmas aired in 1980, and this one was a bit different. It was a sequel to the classic fairy tale, but it had no relation to the 1937 Disney film, although the evil queen looked rather similar. In this newer tale, Snow White is the queen and a mother to a daughter who is also named Snow White. The young Snow White has white hair, which is what makes it a little weird. Were kids confused on this before? A Chipmunk Christmas was another popular Christmas special from the 80s that aired on NBC in 1981. But this wasn't the first time that these lovable chipmunks teamed up for Christmas. Alvin, Simon, and Theodore first celebrated Christmas in 1958 with their high-pitched novelty song, the Chipmunk song, Christmas Don't Be Late. It reached #1 on the Billboard pop charts and garnered 3 Grammys. This special was crafted by the brilliant Looney Tunes cartoonist Chuck Jones 23 years later after the hit song and 10 years after the death of the Chipmunks creator Ross Bagdasarian. If you were around in the 80s, then I'm sure you'll remember how big the California Raisins were. They went from a dried fruit mascot to a collectible toy to a pop culture sensation. This special premiered in 1987, the same night as Garfield's Christmas special. The Raisins performed Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but the segment that really struck a chord was the clever carol of the Bells. It was played by the Bells themselves, who were whacking their noggins with mallets. Babes in Toyland was a made-for-TV movie that had an interesting lineup. Drew Barrymore starred in this special alongside Keanu Reeves in one of his earliest lead roles. It also had a scary Cyclops bird monster that stayed in kids' memories and nightmares. This special may largely be forgotten now, but if you ever saw it, then you probably remember it. The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus aired in 1985, and this stop-motion special was based on a book by Frank Baum, the Wizard of Oz author. It breaks away from the familiar tales of Saint Nick, which may be why it is less aired today. This special never became the perennial classic like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman. Another strange Christmas special from the 80s was Leprechaun's Christmas Gold, which aired in 1981. It sort of merged St. Nick and St. Patrick, because why not have the best of both holidays? Art Carney of the Honeymooners narrated the tale and voiced a principal character. In 1981, Dean Martin had a special entitled Dean Martin's Christmas at SeaWorld. This was his fourth Christmas special, and his first was in 1975. In this one, Shamu and Buck Owens joined the Rat Pack at the San Diego Aquatic Park. Donnie and Marie Osmond may have been 70s icons, but that certainly did not stop them from carrying on into the 80s. In 1980, the Osmond Family Christmas special aired, and the siblings continued their cheery flavor of variety entertainment. In 1986, the sibling pair was cut in half with just Marie Osmond's Merry Christmas. However, she did have some additional help from guest stars Kirk and Candace Cameron. The beloved Muppets were back on TV in 1987 for A Muppets Family Christmas. It truly is a great one for the whole family, and it is one of the last things that Jim Henson was involved in. This one has everything that you love about the Muppets and wraps it into a special Christmas gift. It was also the first and only time that we ever saw the entire Muppet universe. The Muppets, Sesame Street, the Muppet Babies, and Fraggle Rock were all together in this one show. If you are looking for a different take on A Christmas Carol, then try Mickey's Christmas Carol. It's only 26 minutes in length, and it ran in theaters with the re-release of The Rescuers. This was the first Mickey Mouse production in more than 30 years. It does not appear on television as often as it should, but it is a perfect reminder of what Disney does best. The whole family is back at it again in this Christmas classic. Well, minus Cindy. A Very Brady Christmas aired on TV in 1988, and it was the second highest rated television movie of that year. This time the kids are all grown, and it follows Mike and Carol Brady's attempts to get all of the children back home for the holidays. However, it does have its share of drama. Sam the Butcher is leaving Alice for another woman. Jan is divorcing her husband, and Mike gets trapped in a building collapse. He-Man and She-Ra, a Christmas special, aired in 1985. It's sort of a weird twist on Christmas, probably told by people who knew nothing about Christmas. The plot mostly follows Orko landing on Earth and then finding two kids trying to cut down a Christmas tree without their parents. Orko then gets in a deep discussion about Christmas and eventually invites the kids onto its spaceship, and they travel back to Eternia. Yeah, talk about stranger danger. If you're wondering if you should even watch this, then you should. It is so bad that it makes it interesting. Skeletor is sort of a Grinch who gets his heart